Good afternoon, everyone. We'll start with something simple. Centuries ago, Europeans believed for a long period of time that swans were always white. Swan. You always think of a white swan. But that was the notion until they discovered Australia. As soon as Australia was discovered, they found that swans could also be black. That thing changed a lot of things. It changed perceptions. Today, we are here to change a perception about something. BlindLead. When you think of a blind person, the first thing that comes to your mind is sympathy. How do we change that fact? Why do we sympathize with a person who cannot see? We always imagine that a blind person, when you close your eyes, that's what you see is what a blind person sees. But that is not the truth. We need to change sympathy to empathy. So we are here to enable the blind people. We made 3 revolutionary devices. The first one is a braille printer. This device is very simple. Imagine having a notebook. When you buy a notebook, the first thing you do is write your name. When you have anything, you label it. What do you do if you had to identify everything from a scratch? When you pick up your phone, you have to identify if it's your phone or someone else's phone. Every time you have to go through all its perimeter and everything every time again and again till you actually understand that this is what you're using. A bottle, a phone, anything. So we made a simple device called a braille labeler, a device that can be made in less than $150 and be used to label things from your notebooks, mobile phones, books, everything. The next thing we have is an able form printer. Now, braille is a language that exists from a long period of time. 6 dots with numerous permutations and combinations that together form a language in which blind people communicate. But how do they communicate? They use a slate. They have to push and emboss needles every time they need to write something. Writing an exam for them is way more difficult than writing an exam for us. Obviously, we find it difficult, but trust me, it's more difficult for them. And the current technology available for them is called a Perkins Brailler. Can anyone imagine the cost of a Perkins Brailler? Anyone? It costs about $4,000. Any idea what that is in Indian rupees? About 2.5 lakhs. So it's extremely difficult for a blind person to use a device like that, and unless obviously you're a millionaire. So the quality of education for blind people in India is very less. We're trying to improve that quality by making a device that is so simple that it can be manufactured in less than $1,500. Here is a video of how it works. So you can actually see the dots being embossed over here. Now, those are 2 devices. Now tell me something, if I have to communicate something, if I have a design, everyone knows what CADD is, right? Computer Aided Design and Drawing. So if I have to communicate my design to someone sitting there in Egypt, what I do is I make a SolidWorks model out of it and I mail the file. But what if a blind person has an idea and he wants to communicate? Say just pick up this braille labeler. What if I want to communicate its design to someone in Egypt? How do I do that? If I'm a blind person, I need to find someone who is literate, who understands all these things, who knows how to make a CAD file and then do it. So we have a device that uses simple block-based structure. We have a device that uses simple block-based structure. You just put blocks like this and bang, your CAD is ready. So this is what we intend. This is how we intend to enable the blind people. But is it really innovation? We're here for innovate. Where is the innovation in it? We're engineers. We're obviously going to make things. Where is the innovation? The innovation is in the idea. What if I told you that all these devices were made by blind people? This device has been made by a blind person in less than 2 hours of time. He cuts the metal, he molds it, he takes the wire, he makes a spring out of it, and he aligns them and he screws them himself. So that is probably the best thing a person can do. A maker space for blind people. They come, everyone knows about Google project, right? Google has a 5-day work week and 20% of the time is used for project, whatever they want to work on. What if you had a work where you could do whatever you wanted to work on for all 5 days of the week? That is what we intend to create, a maker space. This is a schematic of how these blind people make these devices. So we are providing them employment, we're enabling them to make things that they want to design. I can show you something. This is a device made by a blind person who has no idea of engineering. It just connects a battery, a buzzer, and a switch, and he used it to let people know that he's blind and he's there. So it just beeps whenever you press it. You can see that. So imagine being a blind person and actually working on all these things, inventing things. We're just here representing those things. This is Murthy. This guy hasn't seen ever in his life. Okay? And he starts making things. He wants to build things. He wants to make toys. He wants to make people happy. So what does he do? He takes sheet metal, he cuts it, he folds it, he bends it, and he makes a device out of this. A helicopter. Can any of us even imagine making it? What did we do in our first year workshop? Nothing. We can't even make this after seeing in like 6 hours. The guy makes it in half an hour. So there is a lot of potential that hasn't been harnessed. We intend to make a workspace, make a space where they come, they make things, and they sell it to those who need them. Since they realize what the design need is, which we cannot. We can only imagine what a person might want. But these people know what the other person wants. Realizing it, empathizing with it, and then making it. That's what we're trying to do.
This is a picture of our makerspace. Murthy has made his mobile cover because it was being scratched for a long time. It's a braille labeler, and we are giving workshops to kids. Actually, our workshop is in Gandhinagar, where there's Don Bosco School. A kid used to come by, he wants to learn these things. We just teach him how to do that. And finally, at the end of the day, we go sleeping.
We're exhausted with all these things. So, somewhere there are people helping others fly faster than sound. But here, we are trying to help those who live on the ground.